Welcome back, children, to the second part of our Class 10 Economics, second chapter, Sectors of Indian Economy. In our today's session, we will be discussing about the GDP comparison in the three sectors, rising importance of the tertiary sector, where are most of the people employed, and at the end, about the underemployment and the disguised unemployment. Clear, children? Now, children, if you remember, in the previous session, we had discussed about the historical changes in the three sectors of the economy in short. We had discussed that in the initial stages of development, the primary sector was the most important sector of the human activity because they knew agriculture, mining, fishing, and so on. Most of the people were employed in this sector, and most of the goods produced were the natural products. Further, we had seen that the agricultural sector prospered and produced much more food than earlier, as a result of which buying and selling increased many times, which resulted in new activities like craftsmen, traders, administrators, transporters, army, and so on. New methods of manufacturing were introduced. As a result, factories came up and started expanding. People began to work in factories in large numbers. Therefore, people began to use goods produced in factories at cheap rates. Then, the secondary sector gradually became the most important sector in production and employment. But in the past few years, there has been a shift from the secondary sector to the tertiary sector. Tertiary sector has become the most important in terms of total production and employment. Now, children, the same thing we will understand better in terms of graph. Now, this graph shows the GDP of 1973-74 and 2013-14 contributed by the three sectors, that is the primary, secondary, and the tertiary sectors. Now, again, it is in terms of crores, right? The comparison is in terms of crores. Now, in the year 73-74, primary sector contributed 2.6 lakhs, secondary sector contributed 1.3 lakhs, and the tertiary sector contributed 1.5 lakhs. Therefore, the GDP for the year 73-74 was 5.4 lakhs. Yes? Now, in the years 2013-14, primary sector contributed 9 lakhs, secondary sector contributed 13 lakhs, and the tertiary sector contributed 35 lakhs. Therefore, the GDP in the year 2013-14 was 57 lakhs. Now, children, when we compare the two bars, what do you find? We find that in the year 1973-74, people were more engaged in the primary sector, contributing 2.6 lakhs, right? Rather than contribution, you can find it in the secondary and the tertiary sector. Clear? Now, whereas in the year 2013-14, you can find that the more contribution than the primary sector is in the secondary sector and the tertiary sector. Now, as we discussed earlier, we could find a shift of the people's occupation from the primary sector to the secondary sector and the tertiary sector, and the maximum improvement you can find it in the tertiary sector as compared to the primary and the secondary sector. Yes, children? Okay, now we will further understand the GDP of the same years, right, with the help of a percentage in the next graph. Now children, this graph, the second graph, shows the share of the sectors in the GDP in terms of percentage, right? Now again the same years are taken for better understanding. 1973-74 share of the sectors in the GDP in terms of percentage, and 2013-14 share of sectors in GDP in terms of percentage. That is all the three sectors, primary, secondary and the tertiary sector. Now the contribution of the primary sector in the year 73-74 was 40%, right? How much? 40%. Secondary sector was only 12% and the tertiary sector was 48%. Whereas if you compare that with 2013-14, you will find the primary sector is contributing only 12%, a drastic decline in the contribution of the primary sector. Now the secondary sector has shown a little improvement of 12%, and the tertiary sector has shown a good improvement of 68%. Children, but if you see the GDP of any developed country, this decline in the primary sector is said to be a good sign for any development of a country. Because if you just observe the GDP of the developed country, you will find that the contribution done by the primary sector is less than 5% as compared with the other two sectors, right? Now, when we compare the tertiary sector percentage of 73-74 with the contribution of the tertiary sector in 2013-14, you will find that there is a very good improvement in the tertiary sector. That means tertiary sector has shown a drastic improvement, a tremendous improvement in the production of the country, production service of the country. Right, children? Therefore, we can say that over the 40 years, the production has increased the most in the tertiary sector. Now we have to see the reason for the rising importance of the tertiary sector production. Through the graph, we have understood that in the year 2013-14, the tertiary sector has emerged as the largest production sector in India, replacing the primary sector. Now, we have to understand the reason behind it. And the first reason is the increase in the basic services like hospitals, educational institutions, post and telegraph services, police stations, courts, village administrative offices, municipal corporations, defense, transport, banks, insurance companies, and so on. Secondly, the development of agriculture and industry leads to the development of the services like transport, trade, storage, etc. The third reason is that with an increase in the income level, certain sections of people start demanding many more services like eating out, tourism, shopping, private hospitals, private schools, professional trainings, etc. Now, over the past decade or so, certain new services like those based on information and communication technology has become more important and an essential part of our life. But do you know, children, not all service sector is growing equally well. Why is it so? Because service sector in India employs many different kinds of people, that is different kinds of labor. One can be skilled or one can be unskilled. That is, at one end there are limited number of services that employs highly skilled and educated workers who are trained in their fields like doctors, engineers, etc. There are semi-skilled laborers also. Whereas at the other end, there are large number of workers engaged in the services such as small shopkeepers, repair persons, transport persons, etc. These are the ones who can barely manage to earn a living and yet perform their services, as they do not have any other alternative opportunities of availability of the work. And that is the reason why not all the sectors are growing equally well. Now let us understand where most of the people are employed. We will see with the help of the third graph, that is share of the sectors, all the three sectors in employment in terms of percentage we'll see. Now here the comparison is between 1977-78 and 2017-18. The employment in the primary sector was 71%. Secondary sector was 11% and the tertiary sector was 18%. Now, when we compare that with 2017-18, primary sector employment has 44%, secondary sector has 25% and the tertiary sector has 31%. Now, here we can see that there is a decline in the employment of the people in the primary sector from 71% to 44%. But when we compare this with all the three sectors, we find that the primary sector has more employment as compared to the secondary and the tertiary sector. Yes, children, though we can see an improvement in the secondary and the tertiary sector in the year 2017-18. Now the question is, why more than half of the people are working in the primary sector? That is because not enough jobs are created in the secondary and the tertiary sector in 40 years. Clear? Now here we can see with an example, the production in the industries has increased to 9 times, whereas employment in the industry has increased only 3 times. This is in the case of secondary sector. Yes, children? Now, the production service has increased to 14 times, whereas the employment service has increased only to 5 times, and this is the case of tertiary sector. Clear, children? Now, as a result of which, more than half of the workers in the country are working in the primary sector, mainly in agriculture, producing only about 1/6 of the GDP. The secondary and the tertiary sector produces the rest of the produce and employs less than half of the people. So does this mean that the workers in agriculture are not producing as much as they could? So first we will try to understand what is an unemployment. It is a situation when people are actively searching for employment but unable to find the work. Children, it is a situation where people of the working age are willing to work at whatever wages they get, but they do not get the jobs, and that is called as an unemployment. So, to help them out, what is the government doing? Government has introduced the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, that is NREGA, in the year 2005. Under NREGA, all those who can and who are in need of work are guaranteed 100 days of employment in a year by the government. It also was started in the villages of 200 districts, and now it has been extended to the villages in over 600 districts. Not only that, but 1/3 of the total work is reserved for women. Next is underemployment. It is a condition in which the people in the labor force are employed at less than full-time or the regular jobs, or at jobs inadequate with respect to their training or the economic needs. Children, it is a situation where people are apparently working but are made to work less than their potential, like a graduate or a postgraduate. He is working as an auto rickshaw driver or a bus conductor. Then we will say that it is an underemployment because he is employed but less than his potential. Now, this underemployment can also happen in the other sectors. For example, there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector in urban areas who search for daily employment. They are employed as painters, plumbers, repair persons, and others doing odd jobs. Many of them don't find work every day. Similar is the condition when we see other people of the service sector selling something on the street, pushing a cart, where they may spend the whole day but earn very little. They are doing this work because they do not have better opportunities. Now, in such condition, children, we call this kind of employment as underemployment. Next, let us see what is meant by disguised unemployment. It is an unemployment in which there are people who are visibly employed but are actually unemployed. This situation is also called as hidden unemployment because in such a situation, more people are engaged in work than required, like in an agricultural sector. The whole family member in a village is engaged in this sector, whereas this work can be done by 2 or 3 people. But the remaining members are also in the village and into the agricultural work because they do not have any other work. If these people are employed in some other sector, then the income of the family will increase, but the production will not decrease. So this is called as disguised unemployment. Why does disguised unemployment not help to increase the productivity of the country? Because more than half of the workers in the country are working in the primary sector and mainly in the agriculture, producing only a quarter of the GDP. The secondary and the tertiary sectors produce 3/4 of the produce but employ less than half of the people. Children, we had discussed about these points earlier when we were discussing about some examples. If we move a few people out from the agricultural sector, the production will not affect. These people are the disguised unemployed and are not productive assets for the country. So, why should we be worried about underemployment? Because it leads to the wastage of human resources. Children, we had done with an example of a graduate or a postgraduate where he is employed as an auto rickshaw driver or a bus conductor. Now he is working, he is employed in a place where his potential is very less in use, right? So that is called as wastage of human resources. Now what does it lead to? It reduces the earning capacity of a person. Then it leads to poor standard of living and further to poverty. Because if the earning capacity of a person is not more, he cannot earn more, and then it leads to a poor standard of living and further it leads to poverty. Children, we will have a quick recall of whatever we have covered in this particular session. We had seen GDP comparing the 3 sectors with the help of the graphs. Then we had seen the reason for the rising importance of the tertiary sector. Then we had seen which particular sector has more people employed as compared to the other 2 sectors, right? Then at the end, we tried to understand the meaning of what is underemployment and the disguised unemployment. How does it take place, right? What are the reasons behind it, right? So children, read the chapters till whatever we have covered very well. Take care and have a good day. Thank you so much.